for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be covering Spain taking on England in the European Championship final. We'll talk about Colombia, Argentina, Copa America final going on. We'll preview those matches. We'll talk about the Ballon d'Or race. That could really take a big hit based on what happened this weekend's matchup between England and Spain. We talk about the U.S. They're getting ready to host the World Cup in 2 years now, and we talk about how much work do they really need before they're ready to host such a tournament after, the comments Bielsa made criticizing CONMEBOL in the U.S. And all that we've heard about the U.S. up to this point. And then make sure you stick around for the end of the show. I'll be reacting to some of the top headlines in the soccer world. Before we start off, I'd like to ask that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show. So to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at GSMCpodcast.net. With your questions, this puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also really helps grow the show. So again, the link is GSMCpodcast.net. Man, oh man, oh man. It's time. The European Championship final is set to conclude after this. What a long tournament. What a fantastic tournament. We've had some brilliant games. Some big matchups. We've had some quality football being played, not just by the big teams, but we've seen some of the smaller nations really put up big fights in the games, really pull off some great upset stories as well. We see miracle runs, not miracle runs, but, runs that we didn't see possible before the tournament, like Turkey reaching the final, Georgia reaching the round of 16. Georgia reaching the quarterfinals. Turkey reaching the quarterfinals. Georgia reaching the round of 16. Slovakia and what they were able to do, almost getting past England in that game. Just so many storylines, and then you had the big teams all being crunched up in one side of the bracket, and Spain surviving out of there, in which they have earned the right to play against England, who kind of favored from a weak side of the bracket, really weak side of the bracket. So where to start off? Obviously, Spain has performed much better than England at this European Championship. I think Spain, they've been dominating game in, game out. There was one game in particular that they did struggle a little bit in Germany, especially in that second half after scoring that goal. But it was bound to happen with Germany being down. They were really going to go for the game and be aggressive. But apart from that, I thought Spain has been pretty comfortable throughout this entire tournament. Even in that France game, after going down a goal early, you thought for a 5 to 10 minute period they could really be in danger right after that goal. But once they were able to calm it down, the quality of Spain brought through. I just think the beautiful thing about Spain is they play with, number one, they all have amazing technical ability, which is a given when you're Spanish. They all are gifted on the ball. But you also have the added element that you haven't had in the past with verticality, with Lamine Yamal, with Nico Williams, who are not looking to pass the ball into the back of the net like previous Spanish teams that'll actually take on a man, open up space for someone, put in a cross once in a while, take a shot. Lamine Yamal, that goal he scored against France, you don't know how many times we've seen Spain in past tournaments that have an opportunity from legitimate shooting opportunity to strike a ball, but instead they decide to go with the safer 5-yard out pass, 5-yard in pass. Instead of actually, sometimes you don't need to pass the ball into the back of the net every time. Sometimes having a shot is fine. Sometimes you could cross the ball into the box and play a little bit direct. We never see this from Spain teams in the past. They always want to pass the ball into the back of the net and play this beautiful total football of complete possession based. And there was a time when that was just impossible to manage. There was a time Spain, they benefited extremely, winning 2 European Championships and a World Cup. But nowadays, you do need that added element of being able to play direct, being able to have pace, being able to play in behind, and this team provides that. They also still have the quality of the players to control the game, to control possession. Midfield, Fabian Ruiz and Danny Olmo, when he's in, they always pick up clever pocket of spaces that just make it very, very impossible to defend. That put the center back in midfield in midfield in a compromised position, because they pick up brilliant pocket of spaces in between the last line of midfield and the center halves, and they really make good runs into the box, time them perfectly, and they're always options to go score. Morata has only had one goal this tournament, and it was at the first game, the opening goal of the European Championships for Spain. But goal scoring has not been an issue because of the goals you get from midfield, because of what you get from Nico Williams. You know what I mean? It's just, they've been absolutely brilliant. And when you have that added element of being vertical and being able to control a game and possession based, it makes you really scary, because there's not a weakness that you have that teams could really own in on. Like in previous Spain teams in the past, what did they really struggle is they struggled against teams that would play a very extreme low block that allowed them to have the ball and pass it around side to side, but they didn't have any crevices for the Spanish players to play forward. Now it's a little bit different, because they have a different way. Number one, they're comfortable playing without the ball. They're comfortable playing out without the ball, and if you sit back, they're not afraid to take on a shot. They'll put in a box and they put in a crossing and be direct. And most importantly, they got players like Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams that won't just pass the ball side to side trying to find the opening. They'll try to create the opening from themselves by getting past the fullback, shifting the defense, bringing a guy over and opening up space for someone else. They have added elements. They have more added elements to previous Spain teams to really attack a defense and really get the goals and be clinical, and it's absolutely great to watch. And I can't put into words how impressive they really have been at this European Championship. They have been the best team at this European Championship, no two ways about it. And I think they beat the second best team in this championship already up to this point in Germany. At the Germany, they have an absolute brilliant European Championship as well. Spain, they took care of them, and it's unfortunate for Germany that they had to play Spain this early on in the quarterfinals. But Germany have really, really been good. Now, when it comes to England, I think England, when you talk about all these amazing things about Spain, I can't sit here and say the same for England. England, for a majority of this tournament, have been woeful to the standards of the players, of the quality that they have. They are in the final right now, right? But keep in mind, I go back to this all the time. In the Slovakian round of 16 game, they were 30 seconds away. Last 30 second miracle bicycle kick, wonder goal from a potential Ballon d'Or candidate away from getting eliminated in the round of 16, and it would have been a humiliating exit. Absolutely humiliating exit. And they were horrible in that game. It took them 94 minutes to get a shot on target. The group stages, they were horrible the entire group stages. You start off with the opening game. They have a brilliant first 10 to 15 minutes against Serbia. They get the breakthrough. And then they're defending for their lives, and they're holding on for the 3 points for the rest of the game. Denmark, they score a goal early, and then they're hanging on for the rest of the game. And Denmark were able to get an equalizer. And if any team in that second half were gonna get a winner, it was only Denmark. And against Slovenia, oh my God, that first half completely awful first half. Probably the worst half of the tournament, to be fair. Actually, Slovakia was pretty bad too. They bring in they make a little bit of changes, and they play a little bit better in the second half, but it was really made easier by the fact that Slovenia, they were just playing for the draw and sitting in, and they got that draw, so hats off to Slovenia, by the way. And then you look at that Slovakia game, as I say, absolutely woeful that entire game. There was maybe a 3-minute period where they got the equalizer and they got the lead, where they were decent, and then the rest of the 120 minutes, even when they got that second goal, despite what we saw for the first 94 minutes or so, the rest of that extra time, they went pragmatic, and then they were on the back foot. They were the ones defending. And then against Switzerland, Really, really poor first 75 minutes. They end up conceding a goal that was deserved for Switzerland. They were better than them, in my opinion. And then moment of magic bails out England with Bukayo Saka in the 78th minute after a bunch of reactionary substitutions and a change of formation that came from Gareth Southgate to just completely change it up. Very, very reactionary in the fact that he waited for Switzerland to score a goal. But moment of magic bails out bad decision making and bad coaching in a moment of magic, a moment of individual brilliance of quality from Bukayo Saka saved them, and then they ended up reaching the penalty shootout after again being on the back foot of extra time. And in the penalty shootout, they had 5 brilliant penalty takers out there, and they found themselves in the semifinals. Now the semifinals, the good thing about England, if you want to look at it from a positive side, you want to see progression. You want to go into it with momentum. The performance against the Netherlands was by far their best performance in the European Championship. Second half, it was completely awful as always, but it was awful from both teams. But the first half, I thought England, especially after conceding that goal, they were really, really brilliant in that first half. Despite the fact that they got a penalty, in my opinion, they didn't deserve. They were really, really good. They created a lot of opportunities. Phil Foden had 2 massive opportunities. But, and then, they were able to capitalize on another individual moment of quality from Ollie Watkins in the second half, and they were able to get through. But at the end of the day, they find themselves, no matter how poor they've been, they find themselves in a position that they're 90 minutes away from the final. Now just strictly talking about this game, I do think England are going to be on the back foot. I think Spain is going to take control of possession, and I think England will be on the back foot. The thing that would concern me if I'm an English fan is, as Spain ease themselves into this game, if England were to make this an open game, I think Spain will really take advantage of the space left to attack England. But if England were to be pragmatic, like I fully expect Gareth Southgate to be, I think Spain, in their ability to control the ball, they will really suffocate England. They'll push England back, and once England gets pushed back, I really think England are really going to struggle to play out. And I don't think Harry Kane is going to have any chances on the ball or anything. I think it's going to be really hard for England to play out of it, because as soon as Spain will lose the ball, with how suffocated, how pushed back England will, I think the press is just going to be ferocious. And I'm really interested to see the way England approach it. I think England are going to be really, really pragmatic, and it comes down to whether Spain can do what they've been doing throughout this entire tournament and get the ball in the back end, because they'll have their chances. They just need to be clinical. I think this is a day Morata, he got to be clinical for Spain, because England's defense is a strong defense, and you're not going to get a lot of clinical chances, but they will have their opportunities. And if they are clinical, the only way I see England win this final is to have to take a massive choke job from Spain, in the fact that they just can't finish, because they'll have a lot of their opportunity, they'll have a lot of the ball, but it's whether or not they'll be able to take advantage of it, because the chances will come. They are the better team than England. This is by far the best team England has faced at this European Championship, by far. I predict 2-0 win for Spain. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll be previewing the match between Colombia and Argentina.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
before the break, we previewed the match between Spain and England. We move on to preview the match between Colombia and Argentina. Argentina versus Colombia, Messi versus James, the battle of the number 10s. Real quick, before we start off, there's been a lot of talks about Messi being in, some people's team of the tournament while James was not. Do I agree with that or not? Probably not, but I do want to defend Messi in the fact that his performances at this Copa America have not been as bad as what people are saying. Yes, he missed some opportunities in the group stages, no two ways about it. But in that Ecuador game, it was clear he was playing injured, and even though in the games that he's played for Argentina, he still has been the primary creating force for the team. And in that first half against Canada, you can't lie, he was absolutely brilliant. So, but yes, James should have been in the team at the tournament, but it's not even like for like. They put Messi on the wing. James is not a winger. You gotta question what one of the midfielders were doing in there. That's the real, gripe that people should have. But again, there's the Messi versus Ronaldo agenda, and there's all these Ronaldo fans out there, and they'll do anything to try to dismiss Messi being in a team of the tournament. So, yeah, it is what it is. But as far as this match between Colombia and Argentina, you got the defending World Cup champions that are here, and defending World Cup and Copa America champions that are here to defend their title. Lionel Messi is looking for his third international trophy with Argentina, and his third international trophy will come in a row. While James is looking for his first international trophy for Colombia after what's been a great Copa America for him, in a kind of a revival Copa America, because he has been really brilliant in this tournament with 6 assists. That's absolutely sensational. That's absolutely sensational. And he's had some big tournaments for Colombia at this Copa America. I believe he was really good for them at the last Copa America in the U.S. as well, despite his shoulder injury. What he did in the last in the World Cup in Brazil, he's been a big time player for Colombia, despite what his form has been at the club. He's been a big time player for Colombia, and yeah, hats off to him, and it'll be great for him to win his first Copa America. The storylines will be great either way. James Rodriguez getting to win his first Copa America for Colombia after being a great servant for the national team for such a long time, or Messi getting his third international trophy. And that's a great story in the fact that, bro, if you're, in 2020, before the Copa America to 2021, when you thought about Messi and Argentina, Messi's career for Argentina, it's pure sadness, it's pure pain. When you look at, what everyone thinks of is the retirement, the emotional retirement after losing the Copa America. You think about the finals he lost, the pressure that's been that's always on him, and how really he's really failed expectations at Argentina, and how Argentina fans kind of feel queasy about him too. They never want to say he's better than Maradona, just because of what he has not accomplished, and the criticism based on what he accomplished at Barcelona compared to Argentina. And it was just really negative what he thought about Messi in Argentina. But as he went to PSG, and as his club situation kind of became a little bit toxic, a little bit rotten with what's going on in PSG, it seemed like Argentina kind of opened up when Argentina started becoming the safe space for Messi. And when Argentina became the safe space, and for Messi, the trophy started coming, because they immediately started winning a Copa America. Then they won the World Cup. Then they won the Finalissima. Then they won the World Cup. And now they find themselves in another Copa America final to win a third straight major international tournament for Messi. I mean, it just continues to add on to the legacy of Lionel Messi. And it's, it's really hard to make any comparisons. Forget what the players playing right now in Ronaldo, which really should not exist in my opinion. But when you're talking about the likes of Maradona, Pele, and all that, he's really, he's really just continuing to add to the amazing legacy he has, not just for club, that it used to be just for club, but now for his national team. The way he's adored, the way he goes back to Argentina, and the streets are just, you can't move. I mean, it just shows the impact he had. And trust me, those scenes would not have happened in 2018, 19 or so. Those kind of scenes would not have happened. But when you win a trophy for your people, man, man, the love and the adulation, and he really is the greatest of all time, and he has an opportunity to continue on to add to his absolutely amazing legacy. Now, this is a very, very tight match between Colombia and Argentina. Really, really tight. Because of, Colombia, the ridiculous 28-game unbeaten streak entering the final. But also Argentina are defending World Cup and Copa America champions. They're an absolutely brilliant team, and it's hard. James Rodriguez, he's led the Copa America in assists with 6 assists. Colombia actually has scored 12 goals in 5 matches this tournament, which is a really good number. They're able to get goals. They're able to create on set pieces and open play. They got amazing players with flair like Luis Diaz. And yeah, keep in mind, Colombia has not lost in 28 matches. The last time that they lost was February 1, 2022. That's insane. Argentina, on the other hand, they're coming on ridiculous form too. They actually have only lost 3 games in the last 63 matches. And those 3 games that they lost was the semifinal to Brazil in 2019 Copa America, where Brazil actually ended up going to win it all. When they lost to Saudi Arabia in the World Cup opener in 2022. And I believe it's only 2 actually. 2 losses. Oh, and they lost to Uruguay in World Cup qualifying this past November. Yeah, you're right. They lost to Uruguay qualifying past November. So yeah, 3 losses in 63 games. So both teams, despite Colombia coming in a 28-game unbeaten streak, both teams are entering this tournament on ridiculous form. I think Argentina's are the favorite, kind of because of the pedigree of the team. But if you look at based on this year's performances, this Copa America performances, Colombia have been the better team. Colombia has played more attacking, open-ended football. They've created more chances. They've been more exciting to watch. Argentina, there's been certain games that they really, really struggled. They've been very lucky in certain games too with the penalties. I think Colombia in their past, destroying Panama and hanging on to beat Uruguay with 10 men, absolutely more impressive than what Argentina has done. But Argentina does have more experience in these moments. And if you have to compare what happened in the quarterfinal, in the semifinals, what Colombia had to go through against Uruguay, compared to what Argentina had to go through against Canada, that does give an advantage, a big advantage to Argentina, because what those two teams went through are completely different. Keep in mind, we had this Colombia-Argentina game at the last Copa America, and in the semifinal, and it was a penalty shootout. Colombia were a penalty shootout away from beating the team that went on to win the Copa America, and Colombia would have earned the right to play against Brazil in that final. So even back then, when Argentina were really at their best, it was a tight, cagey affair. And yeah, I'm excited to see this. I think this really could go either way. Argentina are favorites, yes, but I think Colombia, have some ability that can really threaten them. Colombia's attack, I think they'll give Argentina's backline some questions. But the big thing is when Argentina faces teams that are willing to play aggressive, play high, and really go into there trying to attack the game, Argentina do struggle a little bit, and they look a little bit uncomfortable, and I think that could cause Argentina issues. But at the end of the day, Argentina also has big-time players. The way that they performed in that World Cup final, that first 75 minutes where they completely suffocated France, one of the best team in the world, Argentina, they can really take it that next step. And some of these older players that they have, like Otamendi, Di Maria, Messi, when it comes to these cup finals, they play sort of to their prime, because when it was one game left, they really put it all out there and they really showed the best of their abilities. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to choose Argentina. I think Argentina will get it past. I think it'll be 1-0, but man, it's going to be a great final. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to we'll talk about the Ballon d'Or, whether or not it should belong to Jude Bellingham if England win the Euros.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Before the break, we discussed Colombia, Argentina. We previewed that match. We move on to react to the Ballon d'Or, whether or not the Ballon d'Or belongs to Jude Bellingham. Typo there, but if England win the Euros, look, there's a lot to unpack with that sort of question. Obviously, Jude Bellingham has become a fan favorite. A lot of people love him. He's kind of the media darling, especially as an Englishman going to Spain and all that. And, at first, it was just English bias that pushed it, this Jude Bellingham narrative. But Jude Bellingham, he does get a lot of praise and adulation from the media, not just English. And, maybe I need to reevaluate him. I don't know. There's a lot of youngsters that I prefer over him. I think he is a very, very good, high-quality player. But there's players that I would prefer instead of him. But, he does find himself in a position where after winning the Champions League, he wins this European Championship. I think he will win the Ballon d'Or. I really do think so. But do I think he deserves it? No, I don't. I think he's had a very, very good season for Real Madrid, scoring the 20-plus goals, especially early on and all that, having the capacity to get into the box and score goals. But if you take away the goals, which is hard to just take away the goals, but his performances have been very, very good. But they have not been to the level of a Ballon d'Or winner. And even, you talk about, he won a Champions League and won a Euros. But let's say down the stretch in the Champions League, was Jude Bellingham the primary reason pushing them on through the later rounds of the knockout stages and in the final? All that? No. It was Vinicius Jr. That was Vinicius Jr. He was the best player. He was the team that pushing them on. He was the player that literally single-handedly dominated that second leg against Bayern. In that first leg against Bayern, he was the one that got the 2 goals. He was really the dominating factor that pushed Real Madrid over the line. For England, can you say Bellingham was he that? No, it was kind of really their, individual moments. Jude Bellingham, in my opinion, he's had a really poor tournament to his standard. Really, really poor tournament. He did get that, I thought in the opening game he was decent, probably his best performance throughout the game. Thought he was decent in that opening game, and he did get that goal. But apart from that, I thought he was really poor against Denmark. That he was really poor against Slovenia, and there was a little bit, not just that much, but a little bit of shouts out there. Maybe he should go to the bench. And I thought he was not that good against Switzerland. I thought he was really, really poor against Slovakia. If you take away that individual moment of magic where he scored a bicycle kick, in which, okay, look, maybe it's unfair. You can't take away that moment because it single-handedly saved England the Euros. But I will say his general play throughout that game was really, really poor besides that bicycle kick. And then in the semifinals and England's best performance, I thought he was really, really poor again. And for a guy, in my opinion, that's been a majority poor throughout the majority of the European Championship and was not, the catalyst, the biggest catalyst in pushing Real Madrid to win the Champions League. Yes, he does have a Champions League and a European Championship, but I don't think he has been the best player in the world this season. Not even close, in my opinion. I think it's kind of not exactly to the extent, because I think Bellingham has been a little bit better than this player I'm about to bring up. But it reminds me of the Jorginho shouts after winning the Champions League and the European Championship. It kind of reminds me of the Jorginho shots of should he be Ballon d'Or, should he be Ballon d'Or. Now Bellingham, I think he's done more than that, and I think it's, not exactly a similar comparison. No, it's a similar comparison, but not to that extent. But what Bellingham has done, he was not the catalyst to push Real Madrid over the line. He was not the catalyst to win England the European Championship. So for me, in my opinion, if you were a legitimate title, if you legitimately should win the Ballon d'Or, you should be able to we should be able to strip away the titles from Jude Bellingham and decide, okay, without the Champions League, without the European Championship, would Jude Bellingham still be a legit candidate to be the Ballon d'Or? In my opinion, no. I think Vinicius Jr., yes, what he's done. I think Rodri, yes, what he's done. But in my opinion, Jude Bellingham, no, I don't agree with that at all. I really don't agree with that at all. So I would say now Rodri. I don't think he should be, but I do think it will belong to him. But in my opinion, I don't think he should be the Ballon d'Or. If they were to win, in my opinion, no way. I think Vinicius Jr., what he's done, despite not winning Copa America, I thought he's been what he did for Real Madrid, absolutely brilliant. Rodri is also a good shout in the fact that he's affected the game, not just for his ability to control the midfield and be a composer and all that, which we know how he does brilliantly, the difference of level of performance in City when he's on and off the pitch, him being a composer, him being a navigator, not just for Manchester City, who won the Premier League, but what he did for Spain too, winning in his first tournament, playing his natural position for Spain, what he's been able to do, how he's been galvanized this group, I don't know if he is the captain, but he kind of is the de facto captain in the way in terms of he is that leader in midfield, and what he's done and the way he's affected the game, not just based on his ability to compose a midfield and be a brilliant midfielder, but also the goals and assists in 2023-24 season, having 12 goals, 15 assists for Manchester City. What he did for Spain in terms of getting that goal in that Georgia game when they were down 1-0, there was a little bit of pressure on them, getting that breakthrough goal for them in tournaments in the past that they have not been able to find, getting that breakthrough goal to open up an opportunity for Spain to come back within that game and to take care of that game. He's been absolutely brilliant. The major weakness with him, though, is the fact that he did not win the Champions League. And generally, a lot of times in the past, Champions League have been heavy in terms of influencing, who's going to win the Ballon d'Or. But let's be honest, if they win that penalty shootout against Real Madrid, Manchester City, there's a very good chance that they're probably the winners of the Champions League. So it's just so it's just so knick-knack. Oh, this penalty went this way. Okay, so now Vinicius, he had the opportunity, he took advantage. Now we should hand him. It's just hard. But in my opinion, Vinicius and Rodri should definitely be the top two. I think Rodri has a very, very good chance to thump Vinicius if he can win that European Championship, because he has that major trophy that Vinicius also has, but they don't have the club. Rodri doesn't have the club trophy in terms of the Champions League, but he does still have the Premier League, but he doesn't have the Champions League, while Vinicius does not have the Copa America. So I think those two will be really tight. It will kind of be impossible to judge if Rodri were to win the thing. I think the thing that will push Vinicius just over the line is the fact that he's the attacker, and in terms of the eye test, you see Vinicius play, and it's just the goals and assists and all that, and the name factor and all that will push him ahead of Rodri. But I think it should be a lot more tighter than what people think. But I really don't think Bellingham should. But at the end of the day, Bellingham wins the European Championship. Nobody's going to think about the performances. They're going to think about the fact he's English. He won a European Championship. He won a Champions League. He won a La Liga. Everyone is going to think about that. When people think about his European Championship, they're not going to think about the performances. They're not going to think about this. They're not going to think about that. Everyone is going to go back to that bicycle kick, because it's a bicycle kick that will be remembered in the history of football. Especially if they were to go on to win the European Championship, that bicycle kick will be looked at the kick heard around the world, the kick that saved England. If they were to win the European Championship game, the significance of that bicycle kick will elevate by times 1,000 in terms of the way people will remember it. And when when Ballon d'Or voting and all that, people are not going to remember his performances game in and game out. They're going to remember that bicycle kick. In my opinion, I think that's wrong. I don't think it should be that way. I think people should remember the performances as well, because the Ballon d'Or is the best player, not just the best moments or all that. But yeah, I definitely think Ballon d'Or will go to Jude Bellingham if he wins the Euros, just because of how the media will perceive it and all that. But I don't agree with it, which is, I would not agree with that happening. But in my opinion, it's so tight between Vinicius and Rodri, and it makes it even more tight if Rodri were to get that. No, it'll be really, really tight if Rodri were able to get that European Championship, man. It'll be neck and neck. But I definitely think Rodri is in the race, definitely. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll talk about Bielsa's comments regarding this Copa America, criticizing Colombia and the U.S. And we talk about this more on the next segment.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Bielsa, he's came out and he's kind of slammed the U.S. and the organizers of Copa America for everything that happened in that incident and all that. And it raises a bigger question on whether or not the U.S. is ready to host a World Cup, which could be... Look, first of all, I just want to go... Let's read Bielsa's comments, actually. So, and to be fair, I give Bielsa huge credit for the fact that right away, post-game after the match, not having enough knowledge about what's going on and not, wanting to really understand everything and all that, he came out and, he said a very calm, level-headed thing saying, I don't really know what happened, blah, blah, blah. What happened was unfortunate, but, basically saying, I'm going to gather the details, I want to know what, he didn't know exactly what happened, and it was a calm, level-headed performance. But after taking a day, really examining what happened and, and really being able to, sit down and break down what he saw and all that, he came out with a very proper response, in my opinion, that was well deserved based on what we seen. So, let's just talk about it. After the Copa America semifinal, which was played at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is actually where the Carolina Panthers play. Some Uruguayan players were seen climbing into the stands with opposing fans. We saw Darwin Nunez up there throwing punches. Ronald Araujo there trying to split people. Jose Jimenez after the game saying, while getting interviewed, saying the players were just trying to defend their family. CONMEBOL has started investigating into what happened. It actually saw players from Colombia and Uruguay both involved. And, it's interesting. It was very, very interesting seas. And, in response to that, Bielsa said, one has to speak thinking about all the threats he will receive if he speaks. So the only thing I can tell you is that players reacted the same way any human being would. If you see what happened and there's no other process to escape and they are attacking their girlfriends, their mother, a baby, their wives, their mothers, what would you do? was very, very angry in the way he said this, by the way, as he was, kind of attacking the media coverage of what happened. Are you asking if there's going to be sanctions to the ones that went to defend? It's a level of complicity because the questions also act as a way to accomplice. I don't know if all of you think the same way, if the questions you ask wouldn't be made by someone else, but this is what you journalists should be saying, not what I should be saying, with the risk of opening my mouth. When you see that there's an overreaction, when you see a violent action, of course, no one is going to be in favor of a violent reaction. But the first thing you have to see is what they are reacting to. And if there are any other ways to do it differently, and you all know this, but you want us on this side to open our mouth about it, so it's not you who point what happened and then are affected in any way. Bielsa also went on to say the players were owed apologies, and that he also said, we are in the United States, the country of security. The Uruguayan Football Association said came out with a statement saying there was a lack of security, saying an unjustified but humanly understandable reaction. And this event took place in a context in which the proportion of Uruguayan fans was very small. Most of them were families, and there were insufficient security measures in place. Given these facts, the players' behaviors was inevitable and natural, and they strongly did condemn their aggression, but said it was, not natural and all that. Marcelo Bielsa also criticized CONMEBOL in the U.S. over how this tournament has been organized, calling out the lack of security, the conditions of the fields at the stadiums, which was NFL stadiums, which we'll talk about later on. And, it was a very, it was a lot. And, he's not the first manager that can criticize the pitch. You should go back all the way to the opening of the tournament. It set the precedent. Lionel Scaloni saying they knew 7 months ago that we'd play here and they changed the fields 2 days ago. It's not an excuse, but this isn't a good field. Sincerely, the field is not appropriate for these players. It's really unfortunate what this Copa America has been. After watching a brilliant European Championship, there's been massive reason for CONMEBOL. But look, I want to be fair. Some of the problems is CONMEBOL. Some of the problems is the U.S. CONMEBOL issues. Number one, they assumed that the security understood the level of passion and rivalry amongst nations at Copa America and how wild these fans is. Because American security, they're expecting them to be like NFL fans, in which they get passionate, but it doesn't get aggressively passionate between fan bases and all that. And you don't separate. You don't have a 49er section in a Panther stadium or this or that. Fans do regularly, opposing fans sit together, and it does, maybe there's yelling and stuff, but it is peaceful, even with the drinks and all that. You can't have that amongst these sort of fans from Colombia, Uruguay. The passion is just too high. The aggression is just too high, and it will lead to massive outbreaks. You have to have sections in terms of the Colombian section and the Uruguayan section, and you have to have massive security between the fan bases. Massive armed guards, all that, to make sure nothing happens. That's how they do it in South America. You have to have that here. But that's not America. That's not the U.S. That's not the security guards' fault or all that. That's CONMEBOL's fault for not being transparent in terms of how South American fans, or just soccer fans in general, even in Europe, properly behave. So CONMEBOL has massive responsibility in that as well. And they have massive responsibility for a lot of the weaknesses in this tournament. The ridiculous camera angles that we got, especially in the USA-Uruguay game with the rolled feet. A lot of weaknesses from CONMEBOL. The thing that you can criticize the U.S. for is the field size issues. Playing in NFL stadiums. And look, it seemed like for FIFA, for the World Cup, and by the way, FIFA, they'll get the stadium issue. FIFA, they'll take care of it. FIFA will, they will not allow some of these issues that we've seen at this Copa America to happen at the World Cup. The issues that do concern me, though, regarding the World Cup is these NFL stadiums being too small. Now, the pitches, it seems like the FIFA have that already discussed, and that they'll have like grass built in months before, and the field will not be a problem. That's, hopefully, that's what happened with FIFA, that FIFA fixed that. But what the FIFA cannot fix is these NFL stadiums being too small. The stadiums are not going to become bigger for this World Cup. You see the lack of spaces on corner kicks. You see the pitches generally. It's the most minimal size pitch that you could have for a game of this tournament. In fact, in my opinion, it's too small. For a caliber of this tournament, the pitches are too small. How are they gonna fix that issue before the World Cup? They can't make the stadium bigger. They can't expand the stadium and expand the field. The stands are just too close to the field. So in my opinion, that is a big issue, specifically in these NFL stadiums. Now, you're going to have games in Canada and Mexico with soccer-specific stadiums, which that won't be an issue. But at the same time, it will be an issue because all the fields have to be relegated to the same size. If you're playing, let's say LA, which probably has one of the smallest pitches I've ever seen for a soccer game because they have to condense it. And even on corner kicks, there's just no spaces because of how tight the stadium is. But let's say with LA was SoFi Stadium, right? You have that pitch. You cannot play a game in that size pitch, but make it, big, make it a normal size pitch at Azteca. All the pitches have to be the same to, for just to make it fair, just to make the, just so that field size is not a factor from game to game, from stadium to stadium. All of them at the World Cup will have to be the same. And that's why you see this soccer-specific stadium in Orlando. Orlando, you could see on the outside a little bit, you could see of the natural lines. And you could see they had to condense the field and condense it by a lot because the fields in Orlando had to match the fields at SoFi or Arrowhead and all that. And that's a big issue. You cannot be playing a tournament at this level on smaller pitch. I really disagree with that. I really think that's not good, and it's really sad. And I don't know how FIFA is going to fix the issue. Some of these other issues FIFA will be able to fix, like the stadium issue of fans not being divided. FIFA will relegate the tickets and seating and all that. FIFA will let the security guards have better security in there to relegate it. A lot of the issues that Colombia had at this Copa America, FIFA will come in and they'll run it better. All the Colombia issues will go away. But in terms of the stadium issue being small, I don't know how FIFA makes that go away. I don't know, because the stadiums are too small. Even when you're looking at it from a camera angle, when you're watching the game from a camera angle, from a good camera angle like most soccer games are, you can't see the near touchline because the stands are so close to the field. You can't even see their near side touchline. That's really not good. That's really from a TV, you can't see the touchline, the near to the stands touchline. That's really not good at all. That's really bad. And I don't know how FIFA will fix that issue. I'm interested to see, Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to some of the top soccer headlines going on in the soccer world. We react to some of the top soccer headlines going on in the soccer world. There was a few headlines that were very, very interesting. First of all, Jesse Marsh talking about the USMNT coaching job, insisting he has no interest in replacing Greg Berhalter since the US coach was fired that last Wednesday. Jesse Marsh said himself, "I'm not leaving this job. I have no interest in the US job. And to be fair, unless there's a big shift in the organization, I don't think that I'll ever have any interest in that job in the future. So I'm really happy here. I couldn't be happier actually in terms of what it's like to work with the leaders in this organization and what it's like to work with this team." Wow. Oh, he also went on to say, "My respect for U.S. soccer is big, but I went through a process with them, right? And I'm not going to go into it, but I wasn't treated very well in the process." And so whatever, man, that's in the past now. The minute it was done, I was like, okay, I'm moving forward and I'm going to figure out what's right for me. I believe he said those comments earlier on. But what he said, talking about he has no interest unless there's a, change in leadership, big shift in the organization. Wow. Some big statements. I agree with them, by the way. It's just like, wow, you hear that from a rival head coach saying that. Speaking of the main rival of the federation, man. There's also, reports saying that Steve Cherundolo, it's going to look like he has a very, very good chance to be the manager of the USMNT. Really safe option, but really predictable from the U.S. soccer. And the more and more I think about it, the more and more likely this is. He is a player that has had 87 caps for the U.S. men's national team. He's was the manager of LAFC that won that led them to back-to-back MLS Cup finals and a final of the CONCACAF Champions League, and this is his first 2 seasons, so he has had a successful run there, and in my opinion, better managing than Greg Berhalter. I think he's accomplished more, don't get me wrong, and he's a former U.S. soccer great, but I think it is a little bit of a safe job. But he was very, very tight-lipped talking about it in this press conference, saying, "I think it wouldn't be the right time to speak about other things. I'm LAFC coach, and I'm very happy to be LAFC coach, and we have something really good going on here, and we're excited to be in the semifinal. So I understand the ask, but I'm going to talk about LAFC tonight." I am LAFC, and he also said, "I am LAFC's head coach right now, and that is my job, what I do every single day. Tomorrow morning training is at 11:15, an hour later, and I'll be there for that." Interesting things going on there. But watching that press conference, it's clear he's trying to hide something. There's definitely interest from the U.S. soccer, and it's I'm interested to see how long it takes for the U.S. soccer to end up hiring him. Lamine Yamal, he came out saying that the photographs that are breaking the internet, which is really, it's crazy how they exist. I don't know how it even happened. Is so crazy to me. But the photographs of him and Messi being Messi holding him as a baby, they were actually hidden on purpose for a very long time because they didn't want comparisons with Messi, which would not help his career. It was Messi bathing a 6-month-old Lamal with his mother, with Lamine Yamal's mother, which was part of a series of photographs that were taken for a charity organization in Catalan, and obviously Lamine Yamal grew up in Catalan, and but Yamal telling sources, reporters, he said, "Obviously in the moment the photos were taken, I wasn't conscious of what was going on that age. My dad has the photos saved and they never came out, basically because we didn't want the comparisons with Messi. No one could be annoyed to be compared with the best player to ever play the game, but it's something that could work against you because you're never going to be like him." Yeah, that's for me, that's really, really crazy in the fact that not crazy, but I think Lamine Yamal's parents have done really, really well in terms of with his dad not releasing the photos and all of that, having the understanding of how it works, how pressure and all that works, and how it could be a detriment. Some fathers in other sports, they happen to increase the pressure on their players, but on their children unnaturally, but they do. What Lamine Yamal's father has than being level-headed. Shows the capacity he has, the mental capacity, and he's always around too, Lamine Yamal. So when Lamine Yamal is playing, so really hats off to Lamine Yamal's dad, who's done a great job raising a wonderful soccer player. Sources say Jimmy Lozano is going to be replaced by Javier Aguirre, who's actually the manager of the 2020 Mexico team that reached the round of 16 and lost to Argentina. He was also the manager of the 2002 Mexico team that reached the World Cup round of 16 and lost to the U.S. And yeah, Jimmy Lozano, he's going to be replaced by Javier Aguirre. Lozano, who's really on the hot seat after a group stage exit in this Copa America. And it's told that he actually turned down an offer to stay on part of the Mexico setup to be an assistant for Javier Aguirre. Yeah, it's and Lozano, obviously that's humiliating, being demoted. So obviously he turned down that offer. And yeah, Aguirre and Mexico Federation are, it's told that they're going to start talks next week. And, this is going to be the third time that he's led the Mexican national team. And it's going to be a third World Cup cycle. So interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what he's able to do with this project that Mexico has right now. He is kind of a short-term fix for this Copa America, for this World Cup. And I think he does give them a decent chance to compete at this World Cup. I really like Javier Aguirre. I think he's a really, really good coach. Yeah, I don't think this is really going to change the world for Mexico. I think, they just need someone in there with experience. The quality amongst these players is not crazy, so I don't think it fixes the quality issue there. But, it is a better option than Jimmy Lozano. It is. Immobile, he leaves Lazio after 8 brilliant years for Lazio, being a great servant for the club. He left Lazio. He has left Lazio. And he's going to be playing at Besiktas with Jose Mourinho. It'll be interesting to see how Jose Mourinho deploys him and whether or not he could help Jose Mourinho and Besiktas take that next level into... Besiktas actually, no, Jose Mourinho coaches Fenerbahce, not Besiktas. But it'll be interesting to see if he can help Giovanni van Bronckhorst and the Besiktas take the next level and compete with the likes of Galatasaray and Fenerbahce. That'll be very fun to watch. Murat Yakin, after their very successful European Championships and the way that they played, obviously disappointing end in losing to England in the quarterfinal, despite having up to that point played a better football than them. He has extended his contract after the success of the European Championship. Keep in mind, this is a dude that was really under major criticism before the tournament. You saw some of the fallout he had with players like Granit Xhaka, but what they did at this European Championship, he has earned a contract extension and it's rightfully so. Ollie Watkins actually came out saying Spain are the favorites to win the European Championship final, but England have plenty of weapons. He happens to be one of the few Englishmen out there, or English fans out there, saying that has a sense of reality. Spain. Danny Olmo, he came out with some comments saying England and Spain have been the two best teams in the tournament, and it's kind of justice, and those are the two teams playing on the final. I absolutely disagree with what he said, and I think it's a little crazy he said that with the fact that he played Germany, and he understood some of the suffering that they had to suffer through against Germany, and how brilliant Germany has been at this European Championship. Don't know. I don't understand those comments at all. Van Nistelrooy, he returns to Manchester United as assistant to Ten Hag. We talked about that earlier yesterday. But he returns back to Old Trafford after he was a brilliant player with them. Golden Boot at this European Championship, it could be split if Kane and Olmo finish level, because they're so Harry Kane and Danny Olmo, they're two of the 6 players that are tied on 3 goals in this European Championship. It's Cody Gakpo, Georgios Mukotadze, Jamal Musiala, and Ivan Sharans all being up there, but the only players left is Harry Kane and Danny Olmo. Jude Bellingham and Fabian Ruiz, they are in the they are also there with 2 goals, so maybe they could get into the have a chance entering the European Champions Finals. But Kane and Olmo, they're the clear favorites with both having 3 goals, and if one of them can take their tally to 4 goals, it will they will win. But if with nothing separating the current 6 players on 3 goals, UEFA said that the top scorers will be shared unless a player can break the full goal mark, which will be interesting to see if six players win the Golden Boot. That would be funny. This policy actually marks a change from the previous tournament where Ronaldo was announced as the winner because he had 1 assist with the 5 goals, compared to Schick, who had 5 goals but didn't have an assist. It won't be like that this time around. If nobody registers a 4th year 2024 goal, then the 3 goals 3 goals will be the lowest. All the players with 3 goals will be the winner of the Golden Boot. By the way, 3 goals will be the lowest tally a Golden Boot winner has had in the European Championship since Euro 2012. That's when Torres, Mario Gomez, and Jokayev for Russia, they all ended the tournament with 3 goals. Torres was actually awarded the Golden Boot that year because he played fewer minutes than the other players who scored 3 goals. That's interesting stuff going on there. It's really fun to track these individual rewards. But thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We thank y'all for watching. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.